Definitely, sir. This year's Your Shot program has been very helpful for me because I was able to identify my gap areas in my previous attempts, and I feel that Your Shot program helped me fill those gaps, which up to my satisfaction in this attempt.
Sister met with an accident, and despite that, he's coming, which is a very good spirit. But he will be reaching home in 2 minutes. In the meanwhile, I have been sharing that to prepare for the mains preparation, these are the four aspects that you need to build upon. The first aspect is content building, second, understanding, third, application, and last, evaluation. Hello, everyone. I am Sajal Singh, the program director of Step Up Mentorship and Show Short Mains program. And I welcome you all in this live session with AIR 136, Soumya Ranjan Das. So, Soumya Ranjan Das was, my student. He was the student of Show Short Mains this year. And he joined the program to improve his rank. And I've seen him improve over time in these 3 months. And we hope that he'll get a top rank this year. So he had already secured a rank of AIR 136 in 2022, and all his best practices, how he prepared for a mains exam, he will be sharing in today's session. So ultimately, the reason why we conducted this session was that these 3 months, these next 3 months, and how you utilize these 3 months will actually decide your fate in the next year UPSC exam. Because you can become as much prelims ready as you want, but it's very important that you have to be mains ready by the end of January. Because without being mains ready, it is impossible for you to crack the exam. You can't become mains ready between prelims and mains. So that's why these 3 months will decide your destiny. It will decide your UPSC 2025 destiny, right? So it's very, very important that you should use these 3 months judiciously. So Soumya Ranjan Das, we are very fortunate that he has joined, or he will be joining us. He had actually met some personal emergency, and despite that, literally, I also wrote to him that salute to your dedication. Despite that, he will be continuing with the talk. So it's very, very important that you should support him also, that despite having the personal tragedy, he is still there in the session. So he'll be joining some 5-10 minutes later. Before that, let's start with some of the announcements. So we have recently launched, yesterday we have launched this new batch of Step Up. We call it as Step Up Prodigy Batch, Super 100 Prodigy Batch. And in this batch, we will be selecting, it's not an open program, we will be selecting 100 brilliant, hardworking, dedicated students. And the eligibility criteria for this program is that you should have at least given one prelims. So if you have given one prelims, you are eligible for this program, and you will go through intensive mentorship provided by me and my team. And ultimately, to enroll in this program, you have to first share your mark sheet of your prelims. If you have just given last year and you don't have a mark sheet, then you can technically mail us the admit card. And then after a small assessment from our side, we will be providing you the link. So the form will be shared for Step Up Prodigy Batch. You fill the form. Once you fill the form, a team will reach out to you and see that whether you are eligible for the program or not. And based on the small assessment test, we will be enrolling you in the program. So, and one more thing, that if you don't follow the targets for 2 weeks in this program, you will be evicted from the batch, and we will make room for new people, because we need 100 most dedicated people who can push their boundaries, who actually have covered the foundation syllabus or main syllabus or prelim syllabus, but unfortunately they are unable to improve their marks, or they are unable to solve the questions. So next 3-4 months we'll make you mains ready, and then we'll make you prelims ready. So fill the form, and then we'll probably see that whether you're eligible for this program or not. So that's how this program will work. We will first identify your gaps, then just like a doctor patient, we will see that what exactly is the problem, and then based on that we give you the prescription, and then based on the prescription you cover the targets, give the test, and then ultimately there will be rectification of gaps by the mentors, and that's how you get the UPSC rank. Another program or another batch that has been launched is Sure Shot Mains 2025 new batch. And the specific feature of this new batch is that we will be giving you one pager notes. So it's not just a test series, it's a mains guidance program. So along with the test and the mentorship, there will be lectures, 10 lectures on answer writing by me. There will be lectures by rankers like Soumya, Ranjan, and many other rankers. There will be a workbook that is a second category of notes that we are discussing. And along with the workbook, in this batch, we'll also give you the one pager notes that all these toppers talk about, that they all made one pager notes, because that's very important for you to write good answers. Along with that, there will be a live pre-discussion by subject experts, and these subject experts are senior mentors. They will in this pre test sessions, they will be deciphering the syllabus, breakdown of the syllabus, and will give you templates of answer writing for that subject. In the post test discussion, there will be the application of these templates. So moving further, before Soumya Ranjan Das joins us, I'll just tell you that in order to prepare for the mains exam, in order to be mains ready for next 3 months, you need to focus on 4 specific areas. The first area is the content building part. So if you want to be mains ready, the content building part has to be focused upon. Which means, what do you mean by that? It means that you first decipher the syllabus. For example, you have a syllabus called Issues Related to Federalism in India. That's the syllabus in the UPSC syllabus. Now, you need to break it down further, that within these issues in federalism, what are the basic issues that we need to prepare for the mains exam. For example, let's say cooperative federalism, competitive federalism, confrontational federalism, many other pressing issues that's been happening, Bengal, J&K, Delhi. So the first part in your mains preparation is that you need to do a breakdown of syllabus, deciphering of syllabus, that what exactly date for Sure Shot Mains is 9th November, both for them, both for it and that. So ultimately, the whole idea is that first focus is content building, that you decipher the syllabus, and then that this much I need to read for the mains exam. Second part in this content building is you need to make notes, second layer of notes, and the micro notes or the one pager notes that we all are talking about, right? Third thing that you need to do here is you need to also finalize the sources from where you will read these content, from where you will read these topics. So that's the content building phase that you do for the mains preparation. Second is the understanding phase. Now, after the content part is ready, the next stage of mains preparation is understanding part. So when we say understanding part, it means that you understand the language of the question. Which means that, let's say, if a question says, examine to what extent, justify, critically examine, comment, discuss, how you need to break down the question and how you need to attempt the answer. That's very important. So understanding the question is the game changer. Many people, they come to me after the mains exams and or after the mains results, that we had written everything. Despite that, we are not getting marks from UPSC. There is some fault with the UPSC only. Now you need to understand this, that UPSC is not at fault. You are at fault because you did not understood the question. If it says to what extent, then you need to write the other side also. So understanding of the question is very important in this exam, right? That's the second part. Third part is the application part. Now you have built up the content, and you have also understood, or you have also started understanding the directives of the question. Now the application part. In the application part, what you will do is, in the application part, you will actually build templates for each subject. For example, I think Soumya Ranjan Dash will be speaking more on it. I had provided him also with a lot of templates in this year mains. So template means, let's say, economics. Now you have a template that ultimately, if there is any question on economic issue, I will take a stakeholder approach, right? Or let's say you have a template for schemes and policies, which is PTDU: planning stage, targeting stage, delivery stage, user stage. PDTU, template. So you know that if there's any scheme or policy, I will break down, I will brainstorm in that PDTU wala format. So for every subject, you will need to first of all have a template that if the question is asked on let's say history or art and culture, how will I start my answer? I will start my answer by probably with the recent context, by giving some background, and other than that, in the application part, we also need to predict the most probable topics. That's what we call as smart work. So let's say there are 400 topics which have 50% chance of being asked in the exam based on the PYQ analysis. Now it's our job, it's our duty to ensure that we focus most on these 400 topics. These are the topics that we need to prepare well. We need to have a ready-made introduction, conclusion ready. We need to have all the value additions ready for all these 400 topics. That's very, very important, right? Because ultimately, it is these 400 topics that will decide your fate. For example, just before the mains exam, I had discussed some themes which I felt was most probable. Now, 60% paper came from those themes. And mind you, short main se bhi 80% questions I have with similar thinking process. So that has happened. Why? Because ultimately the questions are made based on the PYQ analysis. So the themes that I gave, a lot of questions came from these themes. Ab kya hoga? Because so many questions came from the similar themes, ab students were expecting that. Since students were expecting that, they actually wrote really good answer. Because the whole idea is that when you know that a question will come from civil service, and I had said 1 month before the mains exam, कि civil service पे question अगर नहीं आया तो मैं अपना नाम बदल दूंगा. And आया. Because I knew that last 2 years they were not asking questions on civil service. So definitely civil service पे question आएगा. Right? So that's how you kind of predict and you prepare the themes. Now, when you have prepared with civil service wali theme, definitely you will write a better answer. And you will also take less time because you have already prepared the answer for that. So let's say 60% of your paper, you have already predicted the themes. You will write awesome answers on those 60% themes. And that's what toppers do. Toppers don't write all the answers in a awesome manner. They actually write 60% answers very good, 30% answers good and average, and 10% bad. That's how they score marks in the exam. So it's very, very important that you actually do a PYQ analysis, and based on that, you prepare templates, you prepare ready-made answers for some themes, right? Then fourth, the evaluation and the mentorship. So these are the 4 stages. The people who have joined late. So I am just, because Soumya Ranjan Das will be joining in 5 minutes. As I've said in the beginning also, that he met his sister met with an accident, and despite that, he's coming, which is a very good spirit. But he will be reaching home in 2 minutes. So in the meanwhile, I have been sharing that to prepare for the mains preparation, these are the 4 aspects that you need to build upon. The first aspect is content building, second understanding, third application, and last evaluation and mentorship. So once you have started writing answers, then you need to have credible evaluation and mentorship. Because I've seen students coming to me and saying that X where the teacher said you wrote awesome answers in different institute. Now ultimately when I saw the answers, I just within 30 seconds I just said that this is so bad. So ultimately the idea is that the teacher that he was going to, he was giving him false hopes that you're writing really well. Nothing is more horrible than that, because if you are giving somebody false hope that he's doing well, then ultimately he will follow that same template, and ultimately when the exam will come, he'll fail. So it's very important to have good evaluation, good mentorship, and that's what we do in Step Up and Sure Shot Mains program also, right? So ultimately, that's something we will be focusing upon. And one more thing that I want to say is, before Soumya Ranjan joins, that you know, kuch bhi kar lo aap, you do anything. If your notes are not ready till January, and I'm talking about mains notes per se, then it's very difficult for you to actually have a good chance next year. Let me be very blunt, because what is the purpose of notes? Notes have a purpose. One pager, or your second layer of notes, they all have a purpose. What is that purpose? The purpose is that you will have to revise. You can revise it easily. And second purpose is that when you revise it more frequently, you can replicate that in your answers. Whatever I tell you, whatever templates I tell you, it can never be replicated in the answers if you don't practice it enough. So it's very important that you practice. Soumya Ranjan Dash, when he started, writing answers this year, also there were a lot of gaps. But he wrote, I believe, some 23, 24 tests this time, and his answers just before the mains were at different level. So it's very important that you practice whatever we are saying. And in order to practice, in order to answer writing, you need to have notes. Notes are your arsenal. When you go to a war, what exactly decides the fate of a war? It is the quality of your ammunitions. The notes and the study material that you are referring to for mains preparation, they are your arsenals and ammunitions. If the arsenals and the ammunitions is of poor quality, then mind you, nothing can save you in this exam. Whatever you do, you will lose the battle. What is the battle? Which is the UPSC exam. So I'm not kind of scaring you, but I'm trying to make you give you a real kind of input.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes. Good evening, Soumya. Thanks. I think I have been talking about you since you were there, and I have been telling them certain strategies of mains preparation. And
Yes.
welcome you, Soumya, in this session. And despite some happenings at your personal front, you came for this session, which is very, very mind blowing, incredible. And again, salute for that. So,
Thank you, sir.
first of all, Hmm. Congratulations, Soumya, for getting a rank in 2022, and we hope that you get a better rank this year. And I mean, how? What do you think? The first question to you is that you were part of the Show Short Mains program this year. How was your
Yes,
experience
sir.
of Show Short Mains this year?
Sure, sir. So before I start, I'll like to apologize to everyone for being a bit late. Definitely, sir. This year's Your Shot program has been very helpful for me because I was able to identify my gap areas in my previous attempts, and I feel that Your Shot program helped me fill those gaps, which up to my satisfaction in this attempt. And that was mainly, I think, the value
So,
addition parts and the answer
ultimately, the
structuring
first
part.
question that I would like to ask you is that why do you think that these 3 months are crucial? So, before we move further, I would like to give a brief background of Soumya. So, he is from IIT Kanpur, and he actually, cracked the exam in the second attempt. And after that, this is his fourth attempt. So, ultimately, his journey has been like, first he saw failures, then success, then again failure. So, it's been an inspiring journey. He's from Orissa, Bhubaneswar. So, with that background, I would like to start. So, Soumya, how important do you think these 3 months are for mains preparation?
So I think in the normal routine of mains preparation, we get first prelims, then mains, and then interview. Hello, am I audible,
There's
sir?
a
Hello, hello,
Yes, yes, yes. It's coming.
sir.
Is
Am I audible?
Yes, 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 yes. You're audible. Did you hear my question?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir. So I was saying that in the normal course of preparation, we get prelims and then mains and then interview. Everything is just lined up. And ultimately, at least in my experience, I've seen that we get the preparation time for mains between the prelims to mains period. That too, when the results come for prelims and we just lax a bit. And then after the results come out for prelims, we start the full-fledged preparation, which is a very routine thing people do. But I feel that those who have prepared well before their foundation notes and their value addition content beforehand, like many of my friends have done that, they have benefited a lot in terms of adding enriching values to their answers even from the first paper that they write after prelims. So that way, first, it helps boost the confidence way better, and secondly, it also gives us a ground that we know exactly what all things we are able to add in our answers and what all things we need to incorporate in the next in the prelims to mains period gap.
Okay. So I
Yes,
think
sir.
that's a very, very important point that you've said, that the base of means preparation is built in these 3 months. And then the final
Yes,
value
sir.
addition
Definitely.
happens during the prelims and the mains phase. And
Yes, sir.
how do you think we should balance the GS and the optional preparation? Like people say 60-40, 50-50, 30-70. What do you think? Like what should be the ideal ratio?
Sir, I honestly believe that there shouldn't be any fixed rule which is general for everyone. Uh, but from a cursory perspective, we can say that one should be able to gauge his own preparation. Like for me, I chose electrical engineering, which was also my degree subject. So naturally, I could compromise a bit of my time from optional and devote it towards GS. So one should be able to gauge that how much preparation optional needs to be given, and considering both the scenarios, if there is ample preparation for optional beforehand, then one can easily give 50-50 time, like I did in my case. But ideally, with all my interactions with my friends and my own experience, I've seen that roughly there is a 60-40 ratio of time which is devoted towards optional and 40% towards GS.
In your case, the good part was that your optional was also very high scoring, so you can actually score high in optional. So definitely,
Yes,
it
sir.
makes sense
Yes, sir.
to give more time to optionals also. Now,
Yes, sir.
every day, a lot of people come to me, especially people who have just started preparation, let's say 6 months back, 4 months back, 5 months back, that, sir, we have not completed the syllabus fully. So, should we start answer writing? So, that's a problem. That's a, energy a lot of students are facing. That how to begin answer writing, because definitely in the first phase of their preparation, they're not in a zone where they can start answer writing. So what advice would you give to beginners who want, or beginners or people at middle level, how can they start answer writing? Like what is the first stage that they can do?
Yes, sir. So I feel that the first step is to break that inertia, because that is, in my opinion, that is a solely psychological construct that we have made for ourselves. In my case, I personally started my answer writing, and I can honestly tell that that answer was very very bad, and that's true for many of my friends too. Like the initial answers will be bad, and it's a good sign that we we are writing something at least which is justifying the question, but it's not of good quality. So then we have an ample amount of scope to improve upon that. So that seeing it that way adds to our confidence. That is one thing I feel. But thinking from a perspective when we actually practically do the answer writing, I feel that one can start with brainstorming questions. By brainstorming, I am saying that when we see a topic, when we see a question, we can think of different dimensions, different points that we can write when asked that question. That way, we have a mental construct of the answer, and further, when we start answer writing, then we don't have to have those value addition content. At least we have something which we can write. So this brainstorming, active brainstorming thing, which is done, helps a lot in building our foundation. Thereafter, we can start improve. When we see our answers, we can analyze it, and then we can start adding value addition, and we can collect things which appropriately fits our arguments. So that way one can start answer writing. And I feel that with this brainstorming exercise, one can easily break that inertia because that gives us a bit of confidence.
Yes. So I think again a very important thing that don't expect that you write like rank one in the first initial few
Yes, sir.
months. Definitely, that's how you go. I mean, I have a privilege of seeing initial answers of a lot of top rankers, and I can say with a lot of experience that definitely the answers are horrible in the initial few months. Uh, so, what advice Soumya is also giving that don't think about that it will be great, but break the inertia first, and that's actually a very sound thing to say also. Now, uh, how do you think is the mains preparation different from, let's say, the prelims preparation?
Yes, sir. Uh, Sir, bringing light to my previous point also, in mains preparation, naturally there is a factor where we actively recall things. We have a question and we have to think of points. But in prelims preparation, that's the good part. I can say that we don't have to actively recall things. There is some cues available in the question itself where we can just passively recall. And secondly, I feel that mains requires depth of knowledge in any particular topic, but prelims requires a more broad based awareness about the topics, so that we can just see the question, see the options, and get the answer. And also, sir, I think mains requires a bit of articulation in our answer. The way we present our answer is a lot more important than just knowing the answer. That makes a lot of difference, as you'll also agree that you have said in my answers also. And one most important thing I feel in mains is that there is a lot of scope of differentiation. The way we write the answer, the way we present our thoughts, the way we add value to our answer which fit appropriately, helps a lot in improving our marks, improving our scoring potential in comparison to others. This way, I think all these things help mains more of a rigorous exercise rather than having a bit of luck factor in it. So that in a way helps boosting confidence, and also help these things kept in mind helps in our preparation too.
Right. So, do you have any example, like let's say, if we take any topic where you believe that for mains aspect we need to focus on this, and prelims aspect we need to focus on this?
Yes, sir, definitely. Like in let's say we can pick up any topic. Most appropriate can be science and tech topics. When we pick up any topic, let's say nanotechnology, prelims we are expected to be aware of a lot of discoveries about nanotechnology.
Yeah.
We are expected to have a basic idea of how nanotechnology works.
Hmm.
All these things are required, but in mains we are expected to know like how nanotechnology will affect, let's say, any particular sector, let's say agriculture, let's say medical sciences. And then we need to know what are the existing challenges that nanotechnology faces, and etc. And when I say this, I also mean that uh, when we are trying to address any question, we need depth in our answers. Let's say for the particular topic nanotechnology, we need to know how to what will be the way forward in our answers when we are tackling those problems. So this kind of depth is required, which cannot be random when we are writing the answers.
Okay. Now, optional, as you say, that 3 months optional is also very important. Now, what do you think should be a strategy for optional in these 3 months? Test series, answer writing, revision, note making. What should be the ideal strategy you believe should be there for the optional preparation?
Sir, I believe that for those who are starting up with their preparation, if they wish to utilize these 3 months, the ideal way is to wind up with all the notes and everything in these 3 months itself. Because after that, the prelims phase will start, and then will be more focused towards the GS part of it. So it's better to have all the uh, notes, all the theories, all the formulas in engineering cases uh, to be done with in these 3 months. After that, if the time remains, one can also definitely try writing answers, writing uh, especially the previous year questions, those can help in shaping our mind and fine tuning our notes well. So this, I think this thing is more appropriate towards the engineering optional. But in my opinion, and other optionals too, this kind of strategy gives a lot of benefit, because having the notes done gives us a confidence to move to answer writing. Definitely, sir. Also, I'd like to add here that one must keep a fair enough frequency of giving tests in between, because continuously reading things and not reviewing our preparation also backfires.
Yeah, yeah. Ultimately, the basic test, at least in the beginning, you should give in these three
Yes, sir.
months. Yeah, yeah. So, with respect to essay, like some people, believe that essay should be started only after prelims. 3 months are more than enough for essay, and essay has been an Achilles heel for many aspirants, including the rankers also. The rank reduced because of less marks in essay, and given the fact that uh, essays are becoming a lot philosophical these days. So, what do you think? Should we start with essay, and if yes, then what should be the strategy for essay in the next 3 months?
Yes, sir. Sir, I think this is a very apt thing that you have highlighted, that many people think that essay can be done between prelims and mains. I also, to some extent, believe the same, that essay can be done between prelims and mains. But when we are trying to give the examination, we are of course trying to have the best rank. And for the best rank, it's better to have a grasp of the writing method, and it's better if we can utilize these 3 months especially, and also before prelims, if we are able to have a good command over our language, over our articulation, over our way of presenting our thoughts, then it helps us refine our essays more in the prelims to mains period. So I honestly feel that it's not impossible to finish essay preparation between prelims and mains, but if one utilizes the time in these 3 months, let's say for example, then they will have a lot of edge over others. And yes, sir, and specifically for the way I feel essay should be prepared, I think similar to other GS paper also, but more so in essay. The essay should be like a recipe, in my opinion, where we just fit in all the ingredients in our essay, and when that ingredients are fitted in a very sequential manner with a proper flow to our thoughts, then it gives us a very good essay as an output. I particularly saw this difference in my first and second attempt. In my first attempt, I secured 108 marks, if I'm not wrong. And in my second attempt, that marks was boosted to 129 marks. So, in that particular 2 years, I particularly focused on this thing to prepare my essays. So, here I can say that in an essay, basically we have 2 3 sections. We have to give a proper introduction, we have to give a proper body, and then we have to give proper concluding remarks in our essay. And in body, we are also required to tackle the different dimensions of the topic, especially in the philosophical topics. So in this, when we are trying to add ingredients, with ingredients I mean there can be some very appropriate quotes, there can be some very appropriate unique examples, and then there can be some analogy which I particularly used in my essays, something like a frog limited to a well, not able to see what's beyond the well. So this kind of analogy has been appreciated by many people in my reviews also. And also, sir, apart from this, one can also include some theories, uh, some very simple scholars thoughts. So all these things has to be in coherence with the simplicity of the essay. That shouldn't be very much oriented towards optional papers, or very much or it should not be something which is very unaware to people. So that way one can create a connection with the reader. That thing I feel is important. And apart from that, sir, I feel that essay one should be able to utilize the GS knowledge very well. I have
Hmm.
also I have also put it in my presentation, which I think I'll show subsequently, that
Hmm.
the GS knowledge can be appropriately used in essay.
I think
Definitely, in here we have.
I'll open that. I'll open that
Yes, sir.
answer also that you have sent me. Uh,
Yes, sir.
I think this is on procrastination.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
So here we can see that I had tried to, if let's say we just start with the essay. I've tried to
Hmm.
give a brief overview of the 1971 topic, 1971 war, where I have highlighted Sam Mannix, or army chief, in
Yeah.
his whole uh, action. So
Yeah.
here, one thing one should keep in mind, that the introduction should be catchy, should be interesting enough for the reader to hold on to the subsequent essays. So then,
Hmm.
coming to the second page, I think uh,
Hmm.
there we need to, after we introduce our essay, after we give a brief, let's say in my case, I usually give anecdotes. So after we
Hmm.
give the anecdote, we need to connect it with the demand of the essay. So there should be a preface where we briefly say that what all things we are going to discuss in our essay, and then I usually try to tackle some important keywords that is present in the topic. So let's say in this example, I tried to address what is procrastination in the third page.
Okay.
And then, so subsequently, we try to give in and put in examples. So here, as you can see in the third page only,
Hmm.
yes, sir, in the third page,
Okay.
I
I'm
have
looking at third page.
tried, yes, sir.
Yes. So in third page, you have talked about MS Dhoni. No.
No, sir, in page three, in the previous
Uh-huh.
page.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. So this thing, the delay of USS intervention in the World War, this is something we generally read in world history, and
Hmm.
I've I've seen that generally we avoid these things in putting in essays, and we just go with generic examples of anecdotes of Mahatma Gandhi, anecdotes of. So when these kind of examples we bring in from the GS paper, from world history, from an art and culture, then it adds newness to our essay, which also proves a point very apt. So
And
here
with
also,
respect to
yes, sir.
with respect to conclusion, what do you advise in terms of essay? What kind of conclusion we can
Yes, sir.
give?
Yes, sir. So, in conclusion, there are two, three approach. Like one very simple approach I have followed is just summarizing the whole essay. That that has been very common, but and it should be adopted only when the whole there is no other ideas left with us. Generally, in my case, I try to again put it in a recipe type format. I tried to include some Indian philosophy, and then I tried to include some government schemes in the contemporary times, and I then tried to the link the both in my concluding remarks, giving an overarching review of the topic. Like my, if someone reads my conclusion, one should get my voice in
Hmm.
about the topic, my opinion about the topic as a whole, and need not read the whole essay.
So I think very important inputs for essay given by him. And next thing that is again very important is how to make notes for mains. Because that's if I kind of receive 10 emails, 7 of them are asking, sir, please discuss the note taking strategy. So what do you think?
Yes.
What should be the note taking strategy for mains? And there are a lot of
So
people, a lot of toppers also saying about one pager notes. So what is your take on that?
yes, sir. Sir, I feel in this, your statement has fit in my mind permanently, that our answer typically reflects our notes. So, whatever we write in our notes, if we are diligent enough in revising it, then our answer exactly replicates our notes. And if our notes are good, our marks will be good. That's the correlation. So, for
Mhm.
preparation, I feel that in my particular case, I'll say that I have identified the things which I needed to add in my answers. For that, so one can write some answers, then review their own answers, get it reviewed from others. Like I had reviewed it from you, and you had given me those specific inputs. And then once we identify those gap areas, one can try to keep a separate note uh, of all those gap areas and then revise it again and again. This kind of revision help us remember those points which we usually tend to forget. So, but this note making is something which is ideally followed between prelims and mains period. For this particular 3 month period, in my preparation journey and in my friends' experiences also, I've seen that one should have some one pager notes regarding almost every expected topic that can be predicted. So let's say topics like biotechnology, nanotechnology, these are topics which are typically written in the syllabus. There should be one pager notes for all these topics. Also in GS1, GS2, we see that word poverty, word population, word hunger, word development, all these words are typically given in the syllabus. These one can easily make these one pager notes for all these topics, and similarly go through the whole syllabus and keep those topics and make one pager notes of each of them. And when a question comes, one should be able to organize those thoughts in those one pager notes into the answer. So here I'll like to add one more thing. Like previously we saw that the questions in the examination were very straightforward. Like
Hmm.
what are the drawbacks of nanotechnology? Let's say what are the challenges of biotechnology? So these kind of questions could be addressed easily by those one pager notes. But now I feel that it is getting a bit more challenging. One should have one pager notes. That's a basic prereq, but then one should be able to integrate those things and put it in the answer. Like for example, one can be asked that uh, what can be the role of in combining both biotechnology and nanotechnology in the field of medical sciences. Then
Hmm.
it is not just important to have those one pager notes. That is just basic prereq, but one needs to put both those topics and combine it in the answer. That should be the presence of mind, and that should be the practice that must be done in answer writing.
Okay, very good point. So I think that's what, as we have been emphasizing also, that in these 3 months, if you have built these one pages, then just
Yes,
after prelims you can start with answer writing, because you just have to revise it.
yes,
So basic purpose is that you can revise it again and again, and the more you revise,
yes,
the more you will be able to implement that in your answers, right? So let's start with the GS papers. So what exactly was your GS1 strategy? Like what exactly did you refer? How did you make notes? What was your focus? Like how did you prepare for GS1?
yes, sir. Sir, we tend to have a complete go through of the topics in the
Hmm.
prelims itself.
Hmm.
So naturally, after prelims, everyone is in a stage where they are aware of the topic, they are aware of the basic knowledge of it, like what are the challenges, what are the benefits, what are the way forward, etc.
Hmm. Hmm.
So after prelims, while writing mains, it boils down to how we present our answers, how we put our value addition content, how unique is our answers, and how aptly it addresses the question. I think these four things can be the broad aspects defining an answer. For GS1 particularly, I tried to first finish up with the basic resources that is readily available in internet. Like every other topper has already given those set of uh, sources that is followed by almost everyone. So there is more to our preparation than to the sources. So in my preparation, I followed those sources for art and culture, modern history, world history, geography, and society. And when it came to value addition, I particularly identified, like in art and culture, I had to include some maps showing the region of, let's say, this year a question came on Hoysala. So
Yes.
I could uh, highlight the region that was um, ruled by Hoysala Kingdom. And then we can include diagrams of stupas, pillars, like like as the PPT has
Yes.
shown, that
Yes.
there was a current affairs regarding the modiums in the Ahom kingdom. So the modium diagram has been given in that. If the question had come on modiums, then I could have done that diagram, and that could have added value to my answers. So these kind of things needed to be included. In art and culture, one can also include scholars and authors, and also have the current happenings of the ancient period details. Like this year, sir had also discussed in the Sure Shot Mains program the Chola kingdom. In the Gupta dynasty, the current affairs were about the Sankhalipi inscriptions, and in the Chola kingdom, there was the Sengal episode in Lok Sabha, and then also the Grand Museum that was being proposed to inaugurate in Tamil Nadu. So all these current affairs can be included in our introduction, in our body, in our conclusion also. Here, sir, I'll also like to add one more thing. Like when we
Hmm.
see current affairs, uh,
Hmm.
that current affairs can be included in body if it is apt to the question. But when we write introduction and conclusion, it gives us the liberty that we can include current affairs of a related topic. For example,
Yes.
if the question is given about what were the what were the benefits of Gupta period art and culture, then we can start with Gupta period Sankhalipi inscription also. That is, it is there recently in the news. So it gives us a liberty that we can collect some current affairs about each dynasty, let's say, and then we can have the versatility to include it in many answers. Then coming to modern history,
Hmm.
similarly, the maps, chronology, dates, scholars, and also some leaders' name who are not in the mainstream. Like there were Kanaklata Barua, there was Matangini Hajra. So these leaders are not in very mainstream, but when we highlight those names, it gives due importance to their contributions too. In world history, I had particularly had some maps which I could include.
Hmm.
Coming to geography, sir, I had collected a lot of diagrams, as we can see on the screen also. I
Yes.
had,
We can see a lot of diagrams over there. They're drawn really
yes,
well.
sir.
Hmm.
So these diagrams I used to practice many times. So after practicing it many times, I could easily incorporate in my answers. Earlier, I used to have to think that if there is a question, then I add this diagram or that diagram. But now after this kind of practice, I could easily add diagrams without any thought. Also, sir, the maps, like on the right side, the major deserts in the
Hmm.
presentation, and then India maps also, like vegetation expanse, soil profiles, and all those things can be included. This kind of practice gives us a lot of value in our answer. And when we prepare these notes, especially in these 3 month period, it gives us extra edge when we write our answers between prelims and mains. Coming to society, sir, in society answers, I usually had scholars, data and facts of each of the topic. Then I had the committee recommendations, best practices from within India and beyond India also. And also I tried to incorporate schemes, the government schemes that has been in news, been in popular media, and tried to include it in my answers. Yes, sir. Sir, and in GS1 particularly, while concluding,
Hmm.
I particularly kept in mind that I had to give it a contemporary touch, be it history, be it geography, be it society. I tried to
Hmm.
give a contemporary link to the topic. This way, I could show the importance of the topic of the question with the contemporary times. So, can we
Okay.
go to the next slide?
Yes. Let's go to GS2 now. So GS2 में let's start with
Yes.
polity first.
So, can we just go to the previous slide? I'll just
हाँ.
have one more point. Yes, sir. So this I had particularly highlighted because let's say this topic is from society.
Yeah.
This was the complete notes I had for persons with disabilities. Here I
See this.
wanted to highlight that sometimes we need to restrict our content and keep it simple for ourselves to recall it better. Like the basic content I had ready with in my in my bulky notes, and also
Hmm.
in my preparation throughout between prelims, between before prelims and between prelims and mains. But when it came to value addition, I tried to have very short notes. Like for persons with disability, there should be something denoting how much population are the beneficiaries, and then some key success stories, some uh, negative impacts of those persons with disabilities, and some key personality like Srikant Bolla had
Hmm.
identified, and also some best practices from across the world, like the Australia's case and also the Kerala model. So this way, I could use it in almost any type of questions related to persons with disabilities.
See,
Yes, sir.
this is see, I have been emphasizing that. See, this is how you make one pager. So every important value addition that can fetch you extra mark with respect to disability has been provided here by him. So that's what I'm saying. So just before the exam one day, quick revision and it's recollected. So that's what I've been emphasizing with the one pager that we have been telling. This is actually an example of one pager. So again, that's how you have to do. Now let's move to GS2. So GS2, where let's start with polity first. So what was your
Yes, sir.
approach for polity?
So again, sir, like GS1, also in GS2 and GS3, the basic content, the basic knowledge of every topic was already prepared from basic sources, and I had very good grasp of the topics in terms of writing my arguments. But when it came to value addition, uh, I particularly took help from your session in Sure Short Mains, and I had those identification that what all things fetch good marks in GS2 or GS3 or GS1 per se. In polity, I identified that there should be articles, the constitutional
Hmm.
articles, uh, in our answers. Here, I want to highlight that in my case particularly, I usually tend to forget writing articles. It's not like I didn't know about the articles, but I tend to forget. Like I'm
Hmm.
writing right to life, but I don't write Article 21 explicitly. So
Hmm.
when I discussed with sir also, and there I identified that when we write like Article 21, not just Article 21, subsequently we write more articles, Article 123, Article 61. When we write these articles particularly, then it gives an extra edge to our answers, extra visibility to our answers. Then in polity and governance also, we can include some scholars like N. Palkiwala. We can also include B.R. Ambedkar in our answers. When we write their comments, it also adds value to our answers. And apart from these, in GS2, in polity particularly, the most important thing I feel is judgments. And this can be seen clearly because I think in 2021 and 2022 papers, there were many questions where it explicitly asked that justify your answers with case laws. This highlights the fact that UPSC is giving importance to our knowledge of case laws particularly. So it is a very good evidence that we must have judgments with us regarding almost every topic in polity and governance which can be asked. Here particularly I had given the example of, let's say, LGBTQIA community.
Hmm.
There
Hmm.
I could identify three major uh, case laws that were there. So recently, the recent one was the Supriya Chakravarti, the same-sex marriage judgment. So
Hmm.
when we have these cases with us, we can include it in answers where it is directly asking about LGBTQIA. But we should also be vigilant enough that we can add these answers in other topics also. For example, if the question asks about right to life, let's say, we can include Navtej Singh Johar judgment and say
Hmm.
that this way the transgenders and the LGBTQI community were given the dignity. So these kind of versatility should be there, so in order for us to utilize our notes well. And also, sir, I included case studies
Hmm.
like I had highlighted here. For if any question comes regarding parliament, there is very good
Hmm.
case study about the British speaker who where they are required to give a formal resignation. And also, sir, in Canada, also in Britain, there is this practice of shadow cabinet formation. These kind of case studies, these kind of best practices, when included in our answers, shows our knowledge, depth of knowledge regarding the topic. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, and
Moving
apart
on
from
to
this,
hmm, yes.
yes, apart from this, I also tried to include data, facts, best practices, and committees. This
Hmm,
particularly, sir, as highlighted in the presentation,
hmm, hmm,
is a snippet of my notes for
hmm.
social justice.
Okay.
This was particularly regarding health. In health,
Health.
I included one case law, one court. I had two three committees. Then there were two three case studies, and also there were some data, and there were some best practices. And that way, I had my one pager notes. So when any question comes regarding health, be it in positive of health, be it in negative of health, there can be criticism, there can be uh, appreciation. All these questions can be ended with a quote saying that health can't be a question of income, and we can also quote the person who said it. Then the names of committees and their recommendations can be used in a way forward. If it is asked, then very well it fits our question. If it is not asked, more often than not we are we have a situation where we have to give a way forward. So in that way, a committee name adds value to your answers, and also the case studies can be used in way forward. And if not way forward, if asked directly, then it adds to our points. So
I
this
think I
way,
think I
these
think
kind of
that's also
notes.
that's also what you are saying
Yes,
is very right, right? Because health के बारे में तो everybody knows. Health के issues
yes,
क्या
sir.
है? Accessibility, lack of availability, affordability. Everybody can write that. But I think
Yes,
these
sir.
are the things that can add, that can differentiate your answer or probably, make it more value rich.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Okay. Moving to IR. I think it's so many committees you have mentioned here. Coming to IR. Okay. Huh.
Yes, sir.
With respect to IR,
Yes, sir. With
any
respect to IR, I particularly had data. Again, data, facts. These things are, I think, data and facts are common for all. For
hmm,
IR, I particularly tried to include maps. But here, sir, I kept in mind that the maps should be appropriate. Like that shouldn't be something which is
hmm,
forcefully fitted into the question, into the answer. For example,
hmm,
I can quote that. Let's say the question is about the recent episode of Chabahar port. Then one can draw a small map of the Arabian Sea northern borders, where one can show the Iran, Afghanistan, Indian region, and show the link of Chabahar port with Indian ports, and also the Jaran Jalaram road rail link. So that diagram can add value to our question when asked about the Chabahar port uh, development. Also, when the question is about IMEC, one can show the sea routes and the links that is being connected in the IMEC initiative. So these kind of diagrams, when are appropriate to the question, would give value. But I feel, sir, when we try to excessively focus on diagrams, sometimes we give some absurd diagrams. We give some diagrams which are not related to questions.
yeah,
For example,
yeah.
if nobody asks us the map of Iran when the question is about Chabahar Port. So that kind of presence of mind is important, I guess, when we try to add value to our answers. Yes, so
Yes,
for
I think
IR, I mostly followed these maps, scholars, data, and current affairs.
now with respect to GS3, now again that is again a problem area for many aspirants. Like so, major part of GS3 is economics. So what for
Yes,
economics, like what was your main? Yeah.
yes, sir. So GS3, I feel, sir, there are nuances because there are a lot of topics, lot of subjects in GS3. So there are individual nuances to each of it, which you had addressed very well in the Sure Shot Mains program, which helped me a lot. But um, giving it a bird eye view, sir, I have understood that in all of GS3, in fact, I've seen that there is a common structure that one
Hmm,
needs to give some data, some
hmm,
reports, etc. And there is committee recommendations in almost every topic of it, like be it science, be it disaster management, be it internal security.
hmm,
There can be committees which can be the part of answers. Uh,
hmm,
then apart from that, there is these basic things like there should be best practices which can be shown in comparison to uh, the existing practice in India. There can be maps, which is appropriate. There can be diagrams especially relevant in environment and uh, science and tech. And these kind of diagrams is also included in economics when it comes to, let's say, bar graph. There can be some flow charts. There can be some pie charts. These kind of charts can be included in economics. And then there are codes and schemes. Here,
I
particularly,
think
sir, I have followed. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, tell me.
Yes, sir. Here, particularly, I have followed different heads. Like as we can see on the notes, I wrote
Hmm.
committees, and I had many committees listed, be it from economics. Then I had committees regarding internal security, regarding environment, regarding science and tech. So I had a lot of committees names and their recommendations in my notes. Then, when it
I
came to
think
individual
one
topics,
example,
like on the right side,
one example I can see here, like money laundering, you have talked legal,
yes,
institutional, policy, international, and conclusion. So that's a very good way to do it.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
So
I think that.
some specific
Hmm,
topic, yes,
hmm.
yes, sir.
Yes,
Some
yes,
specific
yes.
topics which are easily identifiable and predictable, like money laundering per se. I had identified the key points that can be included, as you had highlighted already. That
Hmm.
I wrote about the legal initiatives, the institutional initiatives, the policy initiatives, and then the international initiatives. When I write these, if the question asks about the issues, then I can follow this four-step approach and note down all the issues. And similarly, if what are the initiatives that have been taken, then I can use this structure. Then if the question asks about what can be done, the way forward, then also I can use this four-step approach of legal, institutional, policy, and international. Then for the conclusion, I tried to follow the same approach I had used in social justice and society answers. Like I had one quote, I had one committee recommendation, I had some best practices. So these can be used interchangeably. Like if
Okay,
I am using, let's say, quote somewhere, I can use committee recommendation in another place. Likewise.
There's one question asked by Shreya, and I would like to appeal you. Whatever doubts you have, you can raise your questions. So it's an open session. So whatever we have, me and Soumya will try to resolve it. So Shreya has asked that how to make notes for environment. It is having a lot of content to remember. So I think that is her question.
Yes, sir. So for environment, I'll tell what I had done particularly. Uh,
Mhm.
the basic notes of it, um, like for example, uh, with respect to pollution, what are the initiatives and what all uh, impacts pollution has on human health, on agriculture. All those basic part of it has to be done before prelims, or at least we have to have the ideas to write our arguments of those questions. So that I I take it as a prereq to our uh, notes. That can be part of our basic notes. That can be part of our foundational notes. But when we have those short crisp notes, one pager notes for our answers, for our exam mains exam ultimately, then we can include the data facts. I think in environment, the data and facts are almost very relevant in every point. This way we can be able to add add many data and many facts to our answers. So to quote example, particularly in environment, I have also have my notes with me. So for example, if we take uh, let's say pollution. So in my notes, I particularly had one two data regarding mercury pollution, regarding land pollution, regarding noise pollution, light pollution, biomedical pollution, solid waste, e-waste, ev waste. So I had one two data max for all of these. Then I had some overarching data or facts regarding what are the impacts of pollution, like air pollution in Delhi, the life expectancy reduced by 5.3 years, and so many deaths happened in a year due to pollution. Or then there can be another set of data which can be like how much percentage of wastes are recycled, like 33% solid wastes are recycled. These three levels of data I tried to prepare. When I say this, sir, in pollution particularly, these three
Hmm.
kinds of data can be used in almost every answers. So here we need to identify that for each topic, what different dimensions of questions can be asked. This was particularly for pollution. In, let's say, if the question is about water, then there can be some more dimensions to it, like regarding the groundwater thing. Then there can be questions regarding the science and tech aspect of water, like we had in this year question, the desalination uh, question. So when we think of different dimensions in which we can include our data, that active brainstorming gives us many points and many value additions, which can be part of our notes. And then ultimately we can have it replicated in our answers.
Really, really, really good suggestions by you. And I think, Shreya, your answer has been resolved. So, coming to ethics paper now. So, ethics paper, like, you have sectional one and section two. Section one
Yes, sir.
has a different kind of, and again for ethics, I think you would agree with me that notes make a good answer for that also. So, with respect to the sectional one part, like what was your strategy?
Yes, sir. So for section one particularly, I tried to give a when a question is given, one should be able to understand the core demand of the question. Like some in GS questions, the core demand is given explicitly, like
Hmm.
what are the pros, what are the cons, what are the way forward. So, but in essay questions, more often than not, that core demand is not given in the question
Hmm.
explicitly. It is similar to having a philosophical essay topic to write.
Hmm.
So when the question is given, one while reading the question itself, one should be able to judge the demand of the question, what exactly the question is trying to imply. Once we have that in our mind, then we need to map it to our basic notes, like the notes which we have prepared. For me
Hmm.
particularly, sir, I in ethics, I particularly had my whole bulky notes and I tried to prepare it rigorously. And for short notes, I particularly had the quotes, the examples, and the philosophies. That's it. So that way, that was my short notes. But I also had to revise again and again my bulky notes in order to have the grasp of the topics. So
And
when we
hmm.
yes, sir.
Yes, yes, tell me. Hmm.
When we simplify the topic and we understand the core demand of the question, then we need to map it to our notes, that which thing it relates to. Like after simplifying the question, it links to some part of our notes, and then we can easily fetch the points. Points are most generally points are similar in almost everyone's notes. So it's the way we understand, interpret the question, and fetch good points from our notes that matters the most.
Okay. Now, with respect to case studies, like, is there
Yes.
any approach that you took for solving the case studies, like any kind of, what you call as approach?
Yes, sir. So for case studies, I had like again a simple recipe kind of method. Like for introduction, I tried to mostly the case studies are on some social issues, something which affects the society, and we are given a role to address it. So in case studies in introduction, I tried to include some judgment, something related to GS2, linking to GS2. Like there can be some judgments, there can be some articles, there can be some recent current affairs that can link to the case study. That was my ideal approach towards the introduction. And while writing introduction, I also tried to include some Sanskrit shlok, which was
Hmm.
also suggested, and I tried suggested in the Sure Shot Mains program, and I tried to inculcate it a lot.
Hmm.
Like let's say for example, yatra naryashu pujyate ramante tatta devata, we can
Hmm.
start with that line, and then we can link it to some article, constitutional articles, or some best practices Beijing declaration, and that can be a good introduction for uh, something related to women. And then while writing my answers, I tried to start with a diagram or flow chart, and I had some collections of different diagrams that can be used It can be stakeholder diagram, which I try to avoid writing in every questions. There can be a candle diagram which shows the different dimensions that needs to be addressed in this question. There can be a balance diagram which shows that there are two different things that needs to be balanced in this case. So these kind of diagrams, and then I tried to address each of the questions separately, as given in the case study itself. So after, while writing the answers to each of the questions, I tried to include the philosophies, include the peculiar examples for each of the points. I think that mm, adds a lot of value to our case studies, which is not generally followed by everyone.
Okay, so I think very, very, very good advice and practical advice that has been provided to you, and shows that because you have given 4 attempts and you have learned from each of these attempts.
Yes, sir.
So, any last message that you want to give to the aspirants, like final message?
Yes, sir. I feel that right now the most important thing is to utilize these 3 months very effectively. Like one can target, in my opinion, the aim should be to get all the notes, especially the short notes if possible, to be get done with within these 3 months. And for optional, at least the bare minimum should be something around 80% of the optionals should be targeted to be completed within these 3 months. But saying so, I honestly feel that taking cue from my first attempt itself, like one can do the preparation in also a very short time too. So if something goes south and we are not able to completely
Hmm.
capitalize these 3 months, one should not lose hope,
Hmm.
because my journey has been, especially my first attempt, has been a very short preparation period, and I was also able to clear mains. So it's not that it's not possible to do it, but
Hmm.
if we have time, I think it's best in the sense of justice that we do appropriate justice to our time and we utilize these 3 months effectively. And apart from
Okay.
that, one last advice would be, we should try to gain that skill to be our own judge. Like from my experience, I can tell that if I can judge my own preparation with my confidence level and with my way of answer writing, that will give a lot of boost. And when sir also will give you feedback, your own judgment combined with sir's judgment will simply amplify your preparation.
Okay, so there are two more
Yes.
questions that have been asked, and I also appeal that if you have any questions, any doubts related to preparation, not just mains, now the house is open, so we can also take questions from prelims and other things. So, Cheeks Mohan, very interesting name, said that should one discuss with friends or go alone and stay private about preparation during the journey?
I think I have a slightly different take on this. I usually avoided not sharing it with anyone. Like uh, whoever asked me, I just shared that I am preparing or like that. But yeah, I have seen that it helps a lot when people don't share it to everyone, because it gives some peace of mind, and no one regularly budges you with questions with your preparation stage. But yeah, if you are not bothered with any other people's comments or opinions about you, then very well you don't need to hide.
Okay. Now, the Kumara Guru has asked that is one pager note should be combined with foundation and value added notes.
Yeah, here I want to highlight that the one pager notes is best made when it is done after the foundation notes. For
Hmm.
my case particularly, when we prepare notes, we try to have those foundation notes, we revise it regularly. The foundation notes should be by heart, and when you have those foundation notes by heart, you'll easily identify points which are still peculiar to you after 3 to 4 times of revision. Those are
Hmm.
the points which are essential to be transferred into the one pager notes. But yeah, apart from those points, the one pager notes also needs to include the value addition thing. So two things very important in the one pager notes: one, the peculiar things or the typical or the not so conventional things that are present in our foundation notes, and the value addition parts which we have identified as a gap area in our answers.
I think that's a very good thing. Like, foundation notes are the base. You can't directly start with one pager. One pager is, it's a gradual process transition. So definitely what you have said is it's completely correct. Now, Aditya Kumar is saying, I failed in my very first attempt and I am not able to boost myself. Please suggest some advice. I think you also, you failed in the first interview. So I think you are a better person to kind of advise on that.
Yes,
How did you
so but
how did you cope up? It's a very, coming so near and then failing it up. How did you boost yourself?
yes, sir. So it's definitely it's not so good experience when you fail, especially in my case when you have gone till interview and you're hoping that you'll get through, but unfortunately you don't. But in my case particularly, I did not have the time to react. Like the results of UPSC comes and in 4 to 5 days you have prelims again. So that was a good thing for me. But yeah, I would say that if you are I think it's wrong to say you're failing in the first attempt. If you're not able to make it through in the first attempt, then there are very good examples. Like in my year also, rank one Ishita, you can take her example. There are a lot of people who are not able to clear in first attempt, second attempt, and then they're like rank one, rank 10, and there are lot many examples. So if you are well aware of your preparation, that's the best part. And what I said in my closing comments, one should be able to be their own judge. If you are your own judge, you will be able to identify that those are the gap areas, those are the issues for which I could not make it in that attempt or in that particular paper. So then that can help you work on those gap areas, and it will definitely give you results.
Okay, so I think there is a question, very good question asked by Manpreet, that uh, so he failed in his first attempt and he is only 22 years old. So should I look for other options like masters or PCS, or should I continue with the UPSC preparation? So should a person start looking for plan B just after the first failure, or I would say first unsuccessful attempt?
Yeah, this kind of scenario and discussion I already had with some of my friends also. So I can tell you that I had given a lot of thoughts to to this question particularly. In my opinion, which I also followed in some way, I feel that if you are currently holding on to some plan B, like you had given prelims along with the job, then maybe you should analyze a bit more about the time availability, about the level of preparation you are able to do with the job. But if you have already left a job and you have given first attempt and you are not able to clear it, then in my opinion you should avoid rejoining it, because then you will not be able to either devote yourself fully to the job or masters whatever you aim to do, not to the UPSC journey. So if you have left some part of preparation, some part of plan B already, then I think it's ideal to at least give yourself two attempts and try to make hell and heaven with the preparation to make it count. And then if you are not able to make through in two attempts, then maybe you can think of uh, some other options, some other plan B per se. In here, I want to particularly highlight that it shouldn't be a scenario that you are trying to put your foot in both the boats and you are not able to steer anyone fully.
Like, did you had any plan B yourself? Like when you entered civil
So
service, because you came from IIT Kanpur, you could have
yes,
made a successful career in the private sector. So did you had
yes,
any
sir.
plan में that इतने attempt देने अगर नहीं हुआ तो I'll go and do some job?
Yes, sir. So in my
Okay.
case, I'll tell honestly, I had clear plan in my mind that I'll give
Hmm.
maximum three attempts in the journey. If I'm not through in three attempts, I'll just leave the journey. But then I'll just add some more details to it. After my graduation, I joined Adobe Systems as software
Hmm.
development engineer. My first
Hmm.
attempt was completely with job. My second attempt also before second mains, uh, some 1.5 months before second mains, I had my last working day at my job. There, after clearing prelims, I decided that no, I want to give my whole time to preparation, because first attempt I was close enough and I was
Hmm.
able to see my gaps. So I thought that it's better to give it a full shot rather than having regrets for later. And then after my second attempt, I cleared it. Also, after my second attempt, before the results came out, I was in a dilemma that if I should further continue more attempts. But then, luckily, the ranks came, and I was boosted a bit. So then I decided to give just last one more attempt. So that way, I paced my preparation. But luckily, in my second attempt, I got into the service.
Yeah.
So that in
I
a
think
way,
after that it's
acted
fine.
as
You
a
can then,
plan B.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, yes, yes. So Jaya, Vikesh has asked that 7 months, we are 7 months away from prelims, and staying motivated is a big challenge. So how did you stay consistent? Like, because again, after let's say mains and all, it's difficult to stay consistent and motivated, especially when you
Yes, sir.
you you are from IIT. You must have seen your friends partying, your friends,
Yes, sir.
having this good package, enjoying in Mumbai or somewhere else. So how did you kind of cope up, kept yourself? What inspired you? What kept you moving?
Yes, sir. So definitely, I've said this to many of my friends too, that uh, after a certain time, this is a boring journey. Like, we read new facts, new things. It's
Yes.
interesting. After one reading of it goes through, then we have to do revision. That becomes boring. So that's the fact. But then, to be motivated, there are two things basically. One is our intrinsic motivation, and another is the external factors. For external factors, I think family in my case was very important. They supported me a lot emotionally, financially, and also giving me a space for myself. And also my friends. As you had highlighted, that my friends were earning better, they were uh, partying, enjoying, but they I had constant contact with every one of them, and they never made me feel that way, that I may be missing something. And rather, they show from their side, I saw the respect for the service. These things helped me stay motivated in the preparation externally. But more important was the internal motivation. And for internal motivation, I think there is no shortcut. The best thing one can do is to have daily schedules, weekly schedules, monthly schedules. After we do the first reading, finding motivation and interest from the topic itself becomes difficult. But when it becomes a game, like when we play something like Subway Surfer, let's say, we are in a constant urge to complete certain milestones. So this journey can be simplified in that manner, that maybe we are completing first month milestone, then we are completing second month milestone. So that approach helped me a lot in engaging my mind in the preparation journey, and that helped me stay dedicated to my preparation.
I think that's a very good kind of analogy that you give. That just take us Subway Surfer, any game, we kind of complete the stages, and that keep us motivated. That okay, we have actually
Yes,
given the one stage. I think that's how you should also prepare. That don't think about the 7 months thing. Think about the kind of immediate goal. Let's say you want to improve your marks in mock test in polity to from
yes,
60 to 80. That's your short term motivation. And if I improve to
yes,
80, definitely I'm in the right direction. And that's how, by fulfilling these small targets, small goals, you'll be kind of reaching your main goal. So
yes, sir.
ultimately, I think you have answered a lot of things, not just in mains and other aspects. Also, it's been a pleasure that you have been here despite whatever has happened, and we ultimately really are happy that you came. And we would like to say that you should come more for the sessions, prelims, and kind of other sessions. That's what we need, and we give you a lot of best of luck for this attempt also. And thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone who were there in the talk.
Okay, so with this, we have come to an end of this session, and we will be coming with more sessions, more such sessions. And you can also mail me your problem, so I can just say my mail. And if you have any kind of preparation related problems, you can mail me, and in my free time I'll definitely reply. So my mail is sajal.economist, sajal dot economist, economist @gmail.com. You have any specific queries, specific preparation, mail it to me, and definitely I'll try to answer it. So thank you everyone for joining this session. Have a nice day. Thank you.